The Houston Police Department had not been recruiting because the academy was closed for budgetary reasons back at that time. So in effect, Bernard Hodes was reopening the academy for us. The major challenge was minority candidates, and specifically African American candidates. The police department had a history, a negative history in the African American community. So that had to be overcome. There had to be the comfort level, relationship building within the community, and then going about the business of making members of the African American community excited about joining HPD. The goal of the department was to have, as much as possible, or as close as possible, a police force that is representative of the community that it polices, if you will. That was not happening. The goal was to have minority representation in each class at somewhere near the 50% level so that you could accomplish the further goal of representation of the community. At this point, the Houston community is made up of about nearly 30% African American, about 30% Latino or Hispanic, and 30% European American. And so this remains the eventual goal of the department. So what happened in the initial phase of the advertising campaign is, I believe, the agency was successful in completing 30% minority representation, specifically African American representation, in the first graduating class, or the first academy class, as a result of the advertising campaign. Bernard Hodes representatives told us about the kind of feedback they'd receive in the initial campaign. In the initial campaign, they had not taken over, if you will, the HR area. And what we were learning was that many people, or those people who were interested in joining the department, lost interest or became discouraged once they made way to the academy. They faced police officers, and there was an intimidation factor. So Bernard Hodes took that initial phase of the process, that initial screening, initial contact with applicants, and through a 1-800 number, set up the first part of the screening process. So in other words, someone comes off the street, especially someone from the African American community. They meet someone in a human resource frame of mind, as opposed to a police professional who fights crime for a living. Once that was done, that initial screening, then they could go further through the process and get connected with the police professionals and that kind of thing and make way to the academy. But that was a very significant part of the recruiting because, as you know, the initial contact is what determines whether or not that candidate will continue and complete the process.
Well, it was during the summer, last summer of 1992. And they were just given a contract or something with the city of Houston to do recruiting. And the idea that they had was to come up and use George in a video, a different type of video. At the first time, we weren't too sure about it because it said rap, and rap had been taking all the bad news. Nobody wanted to do it. Then all of a sudden, they got George into a room, and then it's just one of those things that's hit. And now the friendship's been like, it's been a great relationship, and a friendship also out of the whole thing is what I like about the whole situation. So now it seems like every time we get ready to do anything, we have to include Bernard Hodes into it to do it.
The agency was very good about developing what I consider to be a program that had some significant components, helping to build relationships within the community by conducting the appropriate research and talking to the right people. In addition, the creation of the campaign was the outgrowth of that relationship building. Secondly, the spokesperson. I mean, how could you beat him? George Foreman. I mean, what more can I say? Universal appeal, African American community, every community. You could not have found a better spokesperson. That relationship was solidified through the agency. And then the other very significant piece for us at HPD was to take the human resource process and give it that private sector polish, if you will. Not that we couldn't perform recruiting, but there are some things in the human resource area, some very specific techniques that were added to the department because of Bernard Hodes. Our creative was a bit sticky at first because once again, you're going to a traditional agency, steeped in tradition, with a rap song. And I had the pleasure of presenting that to command staff because I was a member of the command staff. And that was a very interesting meeting. The faces were surprised. And I had to remind the group that we were all too old to be candidates for the police department, and we were going for a younger crowd and a different community. And once we were able to open our minds and realize that it would take very creative, very non-traditional applications in order to interest and spark the interest, we went for it.
Now, I'll tell you something. When we started working on the Houston Cop video, and everybody was excited because I say that Houston Cop video because I was surprised at the way that came out and the reaction that was gotten from not just from because George was in it, people were just surprised about the concept of it. You have to remember at the time, I think there was a video out around that time that said something about a guy was killing cops or cop killers or something. I'm not that familiar with it, but I know for a fact that the people in the city that run the council wasn't that crazy about it because they said, this is the same thing we've just been knocking, now you're going to come back and do it. But when I saw them take this thing and mix it in with George and people from city council and everybody overall, the police chief and everybody was involved. And the way they did it was that they made everybody seem like the video could not be done without you. And that's what they created a real nice feeling. And with those young kids, to get them to perform like they did, and I don't know who was responsible for that, but they did a tremendous job.
You sign up and get on the beat. Make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop. Make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop. Make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop. Make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop.
You know, I used to have a lot of problems with police, but today my only problem is there aren't enough good police officers to go around.
So if you meet the requirements displayed on your TV screen and you want to make a difference on your block, call HPD Recruiting now.
And tell them George Foreman told you to apply.
Become a Houston cop.
Make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop. Make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop. Make a difference on your block.
Become a Houston cop.
Make a difference on your block.
Become a Houston cop.
Make a difference on your block.
Become a Houston cop.
I remember before the campaign started that the attitude was, and specifically with my boss, who was Chief Watson at that time, we will try this, but we just feel like we're coming from so far behind. If we get 20, we'll do good. We'll do better, you know, and we'll stick with it and try to make it work out. Now the numbers in those classes are nearing 74, 75%. It is absolutely unbelievable. The agency became our partners in human resources and in recruitment issues, no question. It was not a vendor-client relationship. It was definitely a partnership, and that was what the department needed. Sometimes you don't know what you need until you get it, and then when it works, you realize this is what I needed all along. And so it worked out perfectly.
George likes the camera anyway. And so since Bernard Hodes, he doesn't have to share with anybody, it's just him. So he loves that even more. He loves that even more. But he likes the guys. He enjoyed them. They had a chance to have lunch with us, and they spent the whole day with him when we were shooting the video before. And nobody was impatient. Everybody was willing to, you know, if he needed something, they went and got it. If it was something he didn't understand, somebody was right there to answer every question, why this was being said, why this was being done. And that's pretty much all you can ask for when you're working with somebody, is for everybody to have the knowledge to stand around looking, is that, look, wait a minute, this is not working, so we've got to come up with something else, and that's what they did.
The agency approached a very, very traditional profession with untraditional methods. The department took the risk, and it worked. Incredible success, despite the fact that very few believed that it would work. We thought the history was too long for something new to take hold.
It was a proud time for all of us, and the whole company, everybody was involved, was just great. There were no chiefs, just a lot of Indians running around trying to get a lot of things done, and it's been very successful.
I would say for the dollars spent and the type of advertising campaign, HPD got much more than its money's worth.
The extra 2 miles, kind of like having a 1-pass mileage or something. You know, the more you do with these guys, the more they kind of stick by you, and that's what I like about it.
I don't think that Houston is different or that different. I mean, I realize every market has its characteristics, but in the profession of policing, it's based and its foundation is in a certain type of tradition. Each industry has its own tradition. And what I think is good is when a department can step outside of itself and try something a little new and different. It worked here in Houston. I'm sure it can work in other departments, large cities and small.
Hey, it's the cops! Let's get out of here!
Hey, what are you kids running from?
I'm scared of the police.
Oh, no. I used to run away from the police when I grew up in this neighborhood also.
You did?
That's right.
I can't believe George Foreman would run away from anyone.
Well, I had good reasons to, but you kids, you didn't do anything, did you?
No way.
Well, instead of running from the cops, you should start thinking about becoming a cop when you grow up. Let me show you why.
All units, make a difference. Make a difference on your block, over.
Make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop. Make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop. Make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop. Make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop. Too many we cuss, or robbing and stealing and out on parole. Too few we trust, or pounding the pavement out on patrol. So join the police. You know how badly we need safe streets. We're only a chief. If you'll sign up and get on the beat, say, make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop. Make a difference on your block.
Become a Houston cop.
Make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop. Make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop. Become a Houston cop. Become a Houston cop. A Houston cop is a medic, a coach, a fighter, and a preacher. They're on your block to protect, to help, to lead, and to teach you. So join the police. You know how badly we need some streets. We're only a chief. If you'll sign up and get on the beat, say, make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop. Make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop. Make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop. Make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop. Make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop. Make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop. Make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop. Make a difference on your block. Become a Houston cop. Too many we cuss, or robbing and stealing and out on parole. Too few we trust, or pounding the pavement out on patrol. So join the police. You know how badly we need safe streets. We're only a chief. If you'll sign up and get on the beat.
Come on, kids, let me introduce you to Police Chief Nucci. Hi, George.
I'm glad you called. Here, help me hand out some brochures to these future police officers.